Let's do a quick run through to see how Headley and Drew did. Of course, Headley selected for the NFC teams and Drew for the AFC teams. We start with the Cardinals here. I like it. I like it. It's a nice blend. I think you touched on all of the Cardinals' needs in relative priority. Of course, I'm always going to lean towards going offensive line sooner rather than later, but I think Wanya Morris represents good value there with the 96 overall pick. So I like what you did with the Cardinals. Hotlanta, yeah, yes, it's a lot of upside here. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
upside here, and I don't say that disparagingly, right? In terms of there being a high floor, or rather a low floor and a high ceiling. I just think you got three really good players at value. Um, A Chain on that fast track is going to be a problem. Baltimore, Drew stuck to the script as far as the the nature of how Baltimore views players at particular positions, right? They're looking for a particular body type, an archetype, and I think that's exactly what Drew managed to do here. D Kit with the grades. I love it. I love it, D Kit. That's what
Put a
I'm
team
talking
next to
about.
it too.
Yeah,
Put a
he got it
team
for the
next to
next
it.
one though. Atlanta
Okay.
got an A minus.
Yeah.
Atlanta gets an A minus. What about Baltimore? What we looking at for Baltimore here? For Drew. You know you're on mute, right, Drew?
I know. I know.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure you know. I want
I'm
to make
eating,
sure that you're aware.
I'm eating my hot Cheetos, bro. Unless you want to hear
Okay.
it in the mic, you know.
All right, we
B
got a
plus.
B
I'll take it.
plus,
I'll
solid.
take it. That's passing
That's
grade
pretty
out
good.
here, man. You know
That's
what I'm
pretty
saying?
good. That's pretty
Yeah.
good. Buffalo, B.J. Ojulari, Jalen Hyatt, guys that can be, game changers. Frankly, game changers, and then Zach Pickens to help out the interior of that defensive line. Move on to Carolina. Bryce Young, Jameer Gibbs, Colby Wooden. I love your first two selections. I don't get me wrong. I like Colby Wooden a lot too, but just pairing up Bryce Young and Jameer Gibbs, bringing them back together, I think is really exciting there in Carolina. Especially considering that what Jameer Gibbs does out of the backfield as a receiver. Adam Thielen as well as DJ Chark. So I think they've done a pretty good job of mitigating the loss of DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall there, Shai Smith, so on and so forth. Jameer Gibbs comes in and he's actually the most explosive player on that offense right out the gate. Okay. All right. B minus.
He don't like the
DK
Bryce
gives
Young
the
pick. It's the Bryce
yeah,
Young
yeah,
pick.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I love it though. I think DK's grading you he's grading you a little hard on that one, but I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Chicago. Yeah, Headley, this is what I'm talking about right here. Do the right thing.
Physical.
Yeah, do the right thing, man. This is what the Bears draft needs to look like, my opinion. In the event that there's a player on the perimeter on either side of the ball that's sliding, whatever the case may be, represents great value, best player available. That's a different conversation. But I think it really needs to be about being able to control the line of scrimmage first and foremost, right? And those first four picks do that, especially those first two as far as protecting Justin Fields. All right. And D Kid agrees. That's an A for the Bears. Cincinnati. Highly weigh in on Cincinnati. What
Yeah,
do you
you got
think
the
of Drew here?
big boy Breezy on the defensive line. DJ Turner, they do need a corner, athletic guy, and A.T. Perry, man, the replacement potentially for T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. So get him Joe Burrow some more weapons. I like it. I give it a solid B. Give it a solid B.
All right. And then limited draft capital here for the Cleveland Browns. Marvin Mims, Zach Harrison. Drew mentioned it. This team is fairly stacked as far as the roster is concerned, but I think these are two very intriguing players. I imagine, well, from my perspective, I think you can roll out Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Elijah Moore. I think so. But Drew wants more firepower. He's not as high on that trio as I am. Brings in Marvin Mims, again, good value with 74th overall pick. And then Zach Harrison also represents good value. You're trying to look for some more consistency opposite Myles Garrett. I think Zach Harrison has a chance to be a good player. So I like that one as well. D-Kick gives a B for Cincinnati and for the Browns, respectively. Move on to Dallas. Drew, what do you think? What do you think of what Headley did for Dallas?
I like it. I like Kalaji Kancey. For the center of that defense. I know that's been an eyesore for not. I won't call it an eyesore, but it's been something they could have improved on in the center of that defense. Kancey's going to give you that. in terms of penetration, that true three technique that you want from the position. And then Cody Moss just gives you versatility up front. However you want to mismatch, move people around, he's going to give you that. He's going to give you the ability to do that, so you don't have to worry about putting somebody in a position where they necessarily shouldn't be playing, right? Because that's kind of been the talk of Dallas O-line. This guy should be here. This guy should be here. But I think Mosh is going to give you that. And then, Roshan, pair him up with Tony Pollard. That's fantastic, bro. I love that pick. That might be my best. That might be the pick that I love the most for Dallas, to be honest with you, what he's going to be able to give you.
All right. Shout out Sir Foul Player of Brooklyn. Good to see you, bro. D-Kid begrudgingly gives a B+ to the Dallas Cowboys.
That's that giant.
It's the Giants hate. It's the Giants hate.
Just
all right. The Broncos up next. Again, limited draft capital through the first 3 rounds, 2
excellent.
picks. Of course, they use a lot of that to acquire Russell Wilson. Hopefully, Russell gets back on track. Foskey and Jack Campbell. I really like Jack Campbell. I think he will look really good next to Singleton and Josie Jewell. One of those guys won't be there long term. I think they re-up with Singleton. So Jack Campbell in the fold. Isaiah Foskey, if they can unlock him, I think it's a really good player. I think considering where you selected him, it makes a lot of sense. So you lose Bradley Chubb, you bring in Foskey based on who was available. Not mad at it at all. Yeah, D-Kid likes this one. He likes this one a lot.
That's quality.
So, very, very good draft there for the Broncos, considering the limited draft capital through the first 3 rounds. And then we get to the Detroit Lions. My goodness.
What's that A+ right there?
My goodness. I know some people might feel a type of way about Jaden Reed, but man, I don't even know if Jaden Reed would affect. If you didn't like the player, I'm not sure it would affect my draft grade, considering what Headley did through the first 4 rounds, or first 4 picks, I should say. Drew, what do you think?
No, I like it. Listen. We've continuously talked about what corner will go to the Lions, because we think the first pick most likely will be a corner. And then obviously Miles Murphy and Drew Sanders, they needed a player at every level of the defense, players that are going to be impactful from day one. And those top 3 players will be. Now, I know Lions fans aren't big on tight end just in general. His name could be Jesus Christ, and they're still not happy because it's the nature of the position. I get it. But you need a tight end. You can't just run out there without one, right? And Sam Laporta is efficient, and he's also reliable. So he's going to give you the best of both worlds in terms of the tight end position. And then Jalen Reed was, I don't want to call it a luxury pick, because you can never have too many receivers, but he is going to be a problem out there when you talk about all the other weapons that they have on that offense. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot better than I think people are giving him credit for.
Yeah. I think people, they knock him for his size, and then he played with a quarterback with it. It was awful. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. He held him back.
And I think in a lineup that's going to include Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta, Jalen Reed is going to see, the lesser defensive backs. He's going to see a ton of man coverage. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to grab like 5-6 TDs playing limited snaps. You know what I'm saying? I think they can have that kind of impact in this particular offense. I love this particular grade. DK, we're gonna co-op this. We're gonna commandeer the grade of obscene. We're gonna make our own draft grade scale, and obscene is going to be the top grade. I love it.
And you know what the bottom grade's gonna be? You know what the bottom grade's gonna be?
Well, what's the bottom grade?
Draft malpractice, bro.
Malpractice.
Get your insurance up. Somebody get their insurance up, dude.
Yep. All right. We move on to the Green Bay Packers. What do you think about what Headley did with the Packers, Drew?
Yeah, I like it. They got a bully in Broderick Jones in terms of the offensive line. It is a need for them, a big-time need for them. And then Darnell went back to the offensive line, got another bully. It might be a bigger bully, to be honest with you. Bully for bully, bully and bully. Just taking people's lunch money out there, and then the potential, the ceiling for Darnell Washington in terms of his ability to make plays in the open field with the ball in his hands, and then State. No, the boys needed a safety. I like the pick for the boys. Is high effort. Going to be where he's supposed to be. And I have a feeling he might be a playmaker at the next level as well.
Hey,
I think if you use him correctly, I think he's a great culture guy as well, as far as that intensity and that aggressiveness that he plays with. I think if you harness that, he can be really effective. So yeah, I like what we have
Yeah.
here in Green Bay.
Don't sleep, man. Don't sleep
Don't
on Jamie,
sleep.
DK. You sleeping, man.
Don't
He gonna make
sleep
the
on him.
tackle, man. Savage, he
Mhm.
wasn't making them tackles. Jamie, he'll make those tackles.
All right. Houston Texans here, Headley. How did Drew do?
Oh, this is an excellent draft class right here. You got C.J. Stroud, throwing the ball to Michael. Yeah, there you go, Sir Fox. Tell him, man. Tell him.
Talk to him.
Uh,
Talk to
talk to
him.
him. Michael Wilson, C.J. Stroud connection. I love it. And I love what Drew did on the defense side of the ball with Nolan Smith, Ade, and Dion Hanley. This is an A draft right here, man. Houston's
Hey,
getting better. It's an A.
hey. Yeah, you can make the case for Broderick as the top tackle. You can. I don't think anybody moves like him, and that level of athleticism is really impressive. And you can't sneeze at his technique either. So, Headley gives the Texans draft an A as well as D Kit. Yeah, this is nice, Drew. I ain't mad. I ain't gonna hold you. All right, got the Colts up next. Anthony Richardson, Josh Downs, Clark Phillips. The first two picks. I mean, obviously the Colts are in the market for a quarterback. When we talk about the guys that we're not necessarily quite certain of, we feel much more certain about Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. Anthony Richardson is the quarterback of choice for me. If you're going to go with a third guy early, the ceiling, the potential is immense. I think you just got to harness it. The tape can be a little bit misleading. Things to work on. He needs to polish up, but certainly the upside is off the charts. Love Josh Downs here. You made a good point during your analysis here, Drew, of the Colts. Got the skyscrapers. You got bigger, guys that are on the perimeter. You need a guy that can get open, create mismatches, be a problem after the catch. Josh Downs fits the bill. The Clark Phillips pick, I think, from a value perspective, not terrible. I just think there's some other players on the board at the position that I may have opted for, considering his size. Right? I love Kenny Moore, but he's already a smaller player. Want to add a little bit more size to deal with some of those receivers there in the AFC South. So D Kit doesn't love it, but I think it's a solid. I think I actually give it a B minus. D Kit gives it a C. We move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Heather, what do you think about the Jags?
Yeah, Cam Smith, one of the biggest needs, and then the offensive line, another big need, and then Chris Smith, a DB. I think, they got two Smiths, man. Oh, two C Smiths. I like it, man. I think you addressed all the needs here. I'll probably give it a solid B plus because these are what the Jaguars need. So, and you got those guys right.
All right. The Chefs, defending champs, Anton Harrison, Keon White, Keishon Butte. So Harrison, I think Harrison is underappreciated. He should not get out of the first round. Of course, he doesn't get out of the first round in this mock draft. Falls right into the Chiefs' lap. Keon White and Butte, there is some volatility with these picks, but there's a lot of upside as well. Butte was considered one of the top receivers entering the 2022 season. There was some issues in terms of the coaching, how he was being used, and his level of concentration, snap to snap. And then, of course, there's some off-field issues. But as a 95th overall pick in an environment like the Chiefs, I think that's a really good selection. And same thing with Keon White. Of course, no off-the-field issues, but we're thinking better athlete than football player at this juncture. The coaching in place in Kansas City could to really unlock this player. So I like this draft class. I think this team, in terms of the spectrum of outcomes for the players, particularly White and Butte, this is the team that you take those types of chances with, right? I think they have the infrastructure for it. All right. So Jags get a solid B plus, and the Chiefs get a B. Isn't it? Yes, sir. I love Andy Reid. You got to respect Andy Reid. Las Vegas Raiders. Drew grabbed Christian Gonzalez, Dalton Kincaid. Again, I mentioned it before, two of my favorite players in the draft. Followed that up with Carl Brooks and DeMarvion Overshown. Heather, what do you think about Brooks and Overshown?
Carl Brooks, man, versatile, could play all along the defensive line and overshown. I think the Raiders' defense struggled last season with tackling. I think Brooks could get after the ball carrier and overshown. He's one of those taller linebackers, but he could cover. He could go sideline to sideline. So yeah, I like those picks. I like Brooks overshown, but I'm not mad at the overshown pick.
All right. Staying the AFC West, we got the Chargers here, Bijan Siaka and Tucker Kraft. I think it's a good landing spot there for Bijan Robinson. We talked about Austin Eckler and what he meant to that offense. Robinson is actually an upgrade. Does a lot of the same things, but he's better at it. You know what I mean? So I think that's a wonderful replacement, and effectively, I think you could have Bijan Robinson for 6 years at a pretty cheap rate, right? You go through the first 4 years of the rookie contract plus the fifth-year option, and then you tag him, and you know what I'm saying? You've gotten 6 years out of Bijan Robinson. You know what I mean? I think that works out perfectly. Siaka Ika goes a long way to shoring up that run defense that's been an issue in Los Angeles for a long time. And then I think Drew, where he was looking at the board, and Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, you saw that the options at tight end start to dwindle as far as those really athletic guys being available. I think you got another guy a little bit later, but in terms of those first 3 rounds, the players to consider, Tucker Kraft was kind of the last of the Mohicans. So you grab up Tucker Kraft from South Dakota, and tight end is a need. So solid draft here for the Chargers. The kid loves it, other than Carl Brooks for the Raiders.
Hurt.
Yeah. Rams. This was good work, I thought, Headley, considering that the Rams don't have a first-round selection. You bring in Will McDonald. They need playmakers. They need guys who can make plays on the defensive side of the ball, and they need to get better up front on the offensive line. I think that's exactly what you managed to do here. Jartavis Martin, he has the flexibility that you're looking for in the secondary. He can do a lot of things. He is what Drew called, today's safety, the modern safety, right? Guy who can do a little bit of everything. And then Tyler Steen is a guy that's climbing up draft boards. I think he's considered, at least from our perspective, his better fit is interior offensive lineman, guard, but he can kick out the tackle if need be as well. All right. And D-Kit is a believer in this draft class as well. Miami Dolphins. Headley, Luke Musgrave, Kendre Miller. Not a whole lot of draft capital, but in terms of the players and the landing spot, what do you think?
I love the Kendrick Miller pick. Mike, is it Mike McDonald? I'm saying that right? Hopefully.
Mike McDaniel.
McDaniel. I'm sorry. I think he'll love a Kendrick Miller slashing style on that offense. I know you guys were talking about the Luke Musgrave pick. I don't really love it, the fit, because they just got rid of Gesicki, a guy like Musgrave. I think McDaniel. I said it wrong again. Mike McDaniel.
No, that's McDaniel. Mike
McDaniel. Yeah. I keep saying McDonald. I keep getting confused, but I think they like more physical tight ends.
You think
in San Francisco,
Laporta is probably a better fit.
Gotcha. Yeah, for me, for the Miami Dolphins.
Okay. All right. We move on to the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think about what Headley did here with these 2 draft selections, Drew?
I love it. First of all, the Darius Rush pick, the Vikings. I like teams that just keep throwing draft capital or free agents at a position that they've been struggling with. They've been trying it for years. Mike Zimmer, the previous coach, threw a lot of draft capital at corners. Just didn't materialize or work out. Here, Headley's doing it again with Darius Rush, who is Mr. Sticky, running out there running routes for receivers. So I like the pick there. And then Zay Flowers, I mean, he's receiver 1 for me. Paired up with Justin Jefferson. I mean, that's night, bro. Like, pick your poison with those 2 guys. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Hopefully Kirk don't mess it up when the lights get too bright.
Mm-hmm. All right, the Patriots here. Drew made some interesting selections. Headley, what do you think about these picks for the Patriots?
Well, that's a lot of physicality on the perimeter with Joey Porter and Rashee Rice. This is how I imagine practices with them 2 going at it, because those are 2 dogs right there. And I thought the Patriots needed to improve their offensive line and break Freeland's an athletic guy. The tape is hit or miss with Freeland, but when it's right for Freeland, the guy could help in the run game and the pass game. So I like it, man. That's a solid B+ draft.
The one thing that kind of jumped off the tape as far as an issue with Blake Freeland was he was susceptible to the inside move, right? He let those linemen cross his face too often. He opened up a little too quick. He's trying to get to his landmark because he's a bigger guy. And he's a good athlete. I think he needs to trust his technique a little bit more so he doesn't give up the inside, because he's too big for that. He's too big to let guys cross his face that way. So I actually, as Drew was making these picks, I was like, not necessarily the player, but considering I'm thinking about New England, I'm thinking about they need more speed. I think, explosiveness, so on and so forth. But looking at it top to bottom, I actually like it. I think these guys could be cornerstone type players for New England. All right. Let's see here. We got the New Orleans Saints up next. Drew, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't like it because I'm a Bucs fan because they got some good players, right? But you got Michael Mayer. I guess was it Adam? Was it Adam? No, it was who was the tight end
Troutman?
they drafted? Troutman.
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 Yeah.
I guess we saying
He
Troutman
ain't
ain't
it.
working out. All
I
right, so
traded from him
Trout.
Dynasty League, Juice. You traded me
I
him too.
thought he was gonna be a guy.
Oh,
I thought he was gonna be a
oh,
guy,
so
man.
it's a fantasy thing. Okay, all right, I got
He's
you.
true.
Okay, it's fantasy hate. Okay, well, you got Michael Mayer, who is going to give you. I said it about Sam Laporta, but this is a guy who's going to give you the best of both worlds. At the ceiling of that in terms of being able to block, as well as being able to separate, use his big body, and do some Gronk things in terms of after the catch once he gets going. And then we got Tuipulotu. Said it right. Give me credit. Slippery when wet, or excuse me, slippery even though he's not wet. Being able to avoid, the offensive lineman hands and be able to penetrate or just slip by, whether he's coming from the edge or whether he's coming from the inside. I know USC used him in a lot of different ways, even to drop back in coverage. So I think he would be a good addition to this defensive line. I'd be interested to see what they would do with him and how they would use him. And then Tank Dell, the Mr. Separator, has the a smaller guy. And usually with smaller guys in terms of the receiver position, they either better be fast or they better be able to separate. And he's got a little bit of both. Nice short area quickness, quick twitch. He was shifty guy who's able to separate. So maybe he'll take Michael Thomas' spot, because who the hell knows when that guy's going to actually play some football.
All right. New York Jets, Peter Skoronski, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, and Sidney Brown. I know there'll be folks who think Drew went a little too early with Sidney Brown, but I actually like it. I like it, addressing either side of the line of scrimmage here. And Sidney Brown, to me, has an all-around skill set. Doesn't have ideal size, but playmaking ability. When he's playing under control, he's a very good tackler. I think these are all solid picks. These guys can make an immediate impact, particularly Peter Skoronski. That's an area that they really need to just get finalized. They've put the draft capital there. They need guys to get healthy and be out there on the field so that they can produce. So solid group here for the Jets. We move on to the New York Giants. D-Kit's New York Giants. And John Michael Schmitz, of course. I think.
Bro, no, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. I want to see D-Kit. What's the grade, bro? A plus 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 plus. Just hold the plus button on the keyboard, bro. Yeah, there you go.
I know there's gonna.
There is, bro.
I know there are gonna be some Giants fans who don't like the JMS pick in the first round, but I just think back to the Steelers, and they had an opportunity to select Creed Humphrey in the first round. He goes on to be selected in the second round, and he really solidified that rebuilt offensive line in Kansas City, and that's been the difference over the last couple of seasons in Kansas City, right? They've been able to protect the quarterback. There's less running around. The team is actually executing, in rhythm more, and they're actually able to run the football as well. So I'm never going to shy away from going offensive line early. You may consider, hey, we might be able to get that player around later, but if you're a believer in that player and they are along the offensive line, I actually think it behooves you to get them sooner rather than later. Cedric Tillman, big fan here at Couch Potato General Manager. And then we got D-Kit's guy, Corey Trice, man. So D-Kit obviously approves. All right. And we might have to add that one too. I don't know how many A's that is, but we might have to add that one to the scale as well. All right. We move on to the Philadelphia Eagles. And this to me, this is rivaling Detroit, man. I got to tell you.
Because Izzy's in there, bro.
Yeah,
I mean through the first three though. Through the first three.
I like it. I do like it.
I mean, the Izzy is just a cherry on top as far as I'm concerned. I'm a big Israel Abanikanda fan. I won't lie. It's close, man. I ain't gonna say way better. I can go with the Lions draft being better, but I'm not gonna say way better. It's close to me. Yeah. All right. This is obviously an A. I don't think there's any debate there. Pittsburgh, another draft that I like a lot. What about you, Heather? How you feel about this draft?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, this is a big boy draft, man. The Darnell Wright, Steve Avila, those are just two physical guys. It's hard to get around, get through. Get Najee Harris to 4 yards to carry. This is 4.5 for Najee, 4.6 if we add those two big boys to the offensive line. Javon Dexter, the tape is inconsistent, but the flashes are there. We saw him at the combine, real athletic. He could get after the run game. I think he moves really well, sideline, not sideline, sideline, but hash to hash. And then you got Emmanuel Forbes, man. I love his game, man. 6 pick sixes to the house. He gets his hand on the football. I know they added Pat Pete, but him and Pat Pete and Forbes, that's excellent coverability. So this is it's an A+ draft for me. A+ for the Steelers.
This might be your best effort here, Drew. I like it. The more and more I look at it, the more I like it. All right, we move on. We got just about 5 more teams here. San Francisco. Headley had to wait a while to make his picks. They all came at the same time. And I think you got 3 good players here, all things considered, right? Not a whole lot of work as far as, throughout the various rounds, but certainly within these condensed selections, compensatory picks, I think you did a good job, solid job here, Headley, with San Francisco. Let's see here. Seattle is another big one here. Drew, weigh in on these 5 selections.
Yeah, man, I can't believe you got Jalen Carter and Mozzie Smith. One of the biggest issues with Seattle was their second level, and it was their D-line in general in terms of stopping the run. They couldn't. You get these 2 guys. I mean, you're not running the football, right? And then Jalen Carter is obviously going to give you the pass rush that you want from the position as well. So you got the best of both worlds there. Jordan Addison, these guys always have needed a receiver. We don't know how long Tyler Lockett's going to be there. So we go and we grab, receiver 3, 4, 5 for some people. And then Hendon Hooker, man. I know Derek was upset because he couldn't get – who was it that he wanted?
Will Levis.
Will Levis, right? And so you came back with the Hendon Hooker, who might end up being the better player for us. He's the better player when you talk about him or Will Levis. So and then needed a center. Was thinking were you ever thinking JMS, or the other players were just too rich to give up? So you went and you got you a Luke Weipler, and I love it, man. I think you got the best players you could for the needs that they needed. Like everything just kind of met up every time. The Seattle came up, man. So I love it.
All right, Tampa Bay. I'm gonna let you comment on it, Drew. I'm gonna let you comment on it.
I'm gonna comment and skip it. Next one.
You don't like it.
Will Levis at the top. Jalen Duncan. He slots in the median at either tackle position. And Antonio Johnson. Yeah. Again, Antonio Johnson's a player that I think has slid a little bit throughout this process, but used in the appropriate way, which is, as a big nickel, short to intermediate areas, I think he can be a difference maker. So it's going to come down to Will Levis at the end of the day. It's going to come down to Will Levis. Is it obscene, D-Kid? I don't know if it's obscene, but it's close. It might be obscene. It really might be obscene. Yeah. Seattle came away with a lot of good football players. Tennessee is up next. JSN, Dawan Jones, Jonathan Mingo. I don't hate it. I think you could stand to go back to the receiver well a little bit later in Tennessee. I think there's some other areas to address, but I think that is the area that we can anticipate Jonathan Mingo going, the mid to late portions of the 3rd round. So I like all 3 players. There's no doubt about that. All right. And finally, we have the Washington Commanders. Osiris Torrance, Julius Brents, Trey Palmer. Torrance and Brents obviously going to be leaned on heavily early. I think Torrance is it's boring at this juncture, right? Talking about a lot of the interior offensive linemen, I think you hear more buzz around Steve Avila and Cody Mosh, and then of course you got the centers and Weipler, Tippmann, JMS. Osiris Torrance has just been terrific throughout his career, whether it be at Louisiana or UF. Comes in, he should be the first interior offensive lineman off the board. Julius Brents, the length, the speed. I think he's shown improvement from the end of the season, the Big 12 championship, through the Senior Bowl. I think he's improved and he's helped his draft stock a lot. So I do expect him within the first 50 or so picks. Makes a lot of sense. And then Trey Palmer, he's got that gas, man. I'm not sure how long receiver 1 will be. Receiver 1 will Curtis Samuel will be in Washington. So I think with Dotson and Terry McLaurin flanking Trey Palmer, you have a good 3-headed monster there. So excellent stuff, gentlemen. Excellent stuff. That's going to do it. That's going to do it for this edition of the second half draft show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe. That's Couch Potato General Manager. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep pushing right through the 2023 NFL Draft. Stay locked in with us, man. Every Tuesday, every Friday, and then we're live streaming for all 3 days of the draft. For Headley, Drew, this is Juice. We will see you next week.